Good day, fellow adventurers. Just wanted to say, you inspire me. You are the ocean on my coasts, the mountains on my horizon. I am so pleased you stopped by. I'm glad you're you, and I want you to know you are important. Come on in, be yourself. Welcome to Dresden's Tale, episode 70. This is season 3, volume 3. It's chapter 66 in our pan-fantastic tale. This is high military fantasy, the kind that needs heroes. Ours is Dresden Fane, a warrior, a warlock, a dwarf. The answer to the question, why so sad? He's a member of the Stone Clan, blindly stumbling where no dwarf has stumbled before. I'm Lewis Nichols, your cheese on meat sandwich. Hold the bread. If it's carb free, it's on the menu. As of writing this, I've been good 10 out of 12 days, and it's entirely possible I've lost a pound. Seriously, if you see a stray pound wandering around, it could be mine. I'm the guy who wrote this thing. It's my forever project, spanning 2 decades and a whole cartload of Word documents. Thanks to YouTube, I now have a reasonable way to pass it on to you. Now it dawned on me, some of you might not know what a T is. Well, back in the day, we decided we needed a weapon in the game system that was different than everything else. So, we took the Klingon bat'leth and inverted it. Pretty clever, huh? Well, not so much, but I can't even get my own characters to use the damn thing. There's a smaller version. It's an AT. It would probably make a pretty good pizza cutter. Numerically, the T is the same stat block as a broadsword. The AT, a short sword. Do you have unique weapons in your system? Tell me about it in the comments. Well, that's the warm-up. I've got a good feeling about this episode, so let's go find our favorite dwarf. Oh, Lord, he's on Vool. He's in Brave Rock, but really, he's in a much deadlier place. It's Simone's 8th day, fall of the year, 2052 years after the fall.
Tribulations 9. The elder brother's sister will not wait for the end to give her last breath, but the elder sister will outlive the brother and the brother's killer, whose name currently escapes me.
Dresden knew he was in love, but he wouldn't say it. He knew now his feelings for neither Marcy nor Bee had been any kin to that mysterious power. He didn't understand a thing about life when he'd known Marcy. They were just a couple of dumb kids. He regretted nothing, but now it was just nostalgia. Bee was, well, she was just a girl he'd spent a couple nights with. Then there was Deemy. Sometimes he actually forgot she had existed at all, until his mind drifted to the mistakes he'd made with Leith. That day in the camp on Cadiz now just made him laugh. Days like today, it made him wonder how many different directions his life might have gone. No, he could not tell Kira he loved her. He had said it freely to Leith and lost her. Now she was just another step on his journey to Brave Rock, a scorched city built around a giant spire of water-gushing stone, the center of a lush biome surrounded by wastes, an oasis made desolate by war. There was a metaphor there somewhere. Dresden thought the sky must love the war, its ally against the land. They both hated the land, each desecrating it in their own form of violence. Did that make Dresden an ally of the ground, honoring it with bloodshed and carnage, seeking its depths for rest and solitude, offering battle and blood every chance he got? He showed his kinship with the violence, and they cursed the sky together. Voices united, he and the land. Dresden hated the sky for its offense to his senses, but he loved the war. It was tedium, days empty of meaning, spent in a city built for the goddess of time. But it was war. What killed did not love war. No matter what happened next, he'd become a veteran of Brave Rock. It had been months now since the beginning. Win or lose, live or die, he was on record as a squad commander present during the siege of Brave Rock. Some day we'll spend our evenings trying to explain to our grandkids how this war was not the big deal some historian will make it out to be. Kira held her hand up over her eyes. We sit here for 2 hours in silence, and that's what you come up with? Uh, at least you think we'll have grandkids. The night watch hooted and whistled when she pushed him back onto the bench and kissed him. He couldn't fight back, and he definitely wasn't going to tell her he didn't specifically mean their mutual grandkids. When the assault was over, the pair went back to their established spots and settled down again. More time in the woodshop today? I guess, Dresden said. Though, I was thinking about getting back to class. I feel like I'm close to something new. It's more interesting than olive wood bowls and pins for the catapults. Kira gave a shrug. Pins for the cats seem pretty important, and I adore the shelving you put in. I'll see how crowded it is. If there are open stations, I'll work. If not, I'll study. She looked at him suspiciously. Sounds fair. We're still working on the southern towers. They're just in range of the Itarians' bigger torsion engines. It's mostly granite there. It's not much of a risk, but we're shoring them up anyway. The rest of his crew showed up at the usual time. Cormac had left, finding duty with a block of Omidon's cavalry as boss for their operational camps. It sounded like a lateral move, but no one seemed to miss him. As they ate, a messenger handed Dresden a message and left. The dwarf opened it and grunted, forcing the others to ask. It's just some kind of meeting. If it's a fight, I'm in. We know, Liz, Kira told her. The women had good days and bad. Dresden enjoyed being around Liz. They were friends, and he wasn't going to give that up. He didn't understand why Kira worried, no more than he understood her obsession with keeping Karen close. Dresden still doubted the human woman cared for him as much as Liz had said. He worried that Kira was trying to pressure her into something Karen didn't want. Something Dresden didn't want either. They wouldn't want me without you anyway. All of you. Dresden dismissed the idea of making his way through the crowd and into the woodshop. The path up to the library was open, so he took it. They moved my supply runs to the evening, Dresden told Mannix and a brownie that always happened to be around. Some of them joked that the diminutive man had a crush on Dresden, but he ignored them. He had what he wanted, and her name was Kira. They say if I'm needed for a combat jump, I'll be available. That's never happened, but that's what they say. The brownie laughed like it was a joke. Dresden grunted. Maybe it had been, but no one besides the would-be communications specialist thought so. Being a pocket spacer seems like a pretty good deal, Mannix told Dresden. You get favored for command status, you get to eat at the Red Boar, and if you get back home, you'll be entitled to all kinds of stuff. Will you found your own house? No. You could, easy. Leaving the house would be betraying Nanook. I wouldn't do that. I might not take any more coal runs, though. He was quiet for a moment. I guess unless he had told me to. I'm still bottom of the barrel in the house. You were. You can skiff as far as anyone I know. That's not that much. I heard most warlocks take a day to get to the supply point. You're pretty good. Dresden could only think of the warlocks he knew who were better, but it did set him thinking. Arbes gave a lecture about the practical uses of the Magical glyph and how it was changing the clans in a positive way. He also reviewed the dangers it could present to a warlock. The mastery of the glyph itself makes the caster exceptionally valuable, so much so their life might be protected in unnatural ways. They are not a prole who needs protecting, but another warrior. If they do not face danger, they will stagnate. The warning ended with the usual sermon to value friends over study and the importance of the trades. It did cross Dresden's mind that temple priests often isolated themselves from the populace, coming out only to speak to the masses when called upon. He also knew master trainers in the trades who were held back from dangerous assignments, and nobody objected over that. However, magic was different. The priests needed its advantage to strengthen the empire just as much as everyone else. It wasn't any different than coin, useful but dangerously tempting. When dinner came, Dresden had his 3 bites of salty meat and started on a mix of turnips over sugared rice. 50's nice, but the further I'll get past it, the more I can outrange other warlocks. I want to set myself apart from the masses. Then I can start my woodworking training in earnest. There aren't exactly masses of warlocks, Donald drawled. What's so important about 50? Karen asked. It's a benchmark. Donald snorted. It's an even number. Liz laughed. She wasn't taking the conversation seriously at all. 10's an even number, and you can do that already. 50 is about as far as a rider can make it in a day, Dresden explained. Not many horses can do that, Karen pointed out. Dresden grumbled. I didn't say a horse. A rider can switch a horse halfway and keep going. Liz pointed. So if the camp is 50 miles away, anybody can do it, even a horse. If it's 55 miles, they'll need you. But the way I see it, most people want to just jump camp to camp, so you might as well stick with 50. And unless pocket space replaces riding as the usual mode of travel, Donald snorted. It won't be for heavy loads, and wagons pretty much cap at 25 miles in a day. You might as well take that as your benchmark, or 75. Or 175, Liz said. 75 sounds pretty good. Dresden turned his attention towards the last few slices of turnip until he felt Kira's hand on his neck. When's your meeting? Pretty soon. It's in the Grand Hall, so I was just going to wait here until people started showing up. Don't forget us, Liz grinned. Kira barely kept the groan out of her voice. He won't. Sometimes Dresden thought Liz intentionally antagonized her. Then again, Kira never let it stand. Karen, are you looking forward to more active duty with Dresden? Karen choked a little. He's our best commander I know, but I just feel like I'm trying to get through now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss home. I thought we'd be more involved. She tried to perk herself up. But maybe this will be the start of something new. I'm sure it will be, Kira assured her. Dresden saw warriors starting to make their way into the hall. Those already in the chamber, but not party to the meeting, were beginning to leave. Dresden found a spot in the darkest part of the room. There were a handful of dwarves and gnomes clustered there, with more arriving as the crowd grew. They didn't talk, just acknowledging each other with polite stone-clan grunts. For those of you who don't know, that salty meat you've been getting from time to time is sea cow. The rice is bien, and it's not really rice. It's from a sort of seagrass. It comes from the coast east of here, and the Iterians know it. Maps were revealed, not that Dresden could make them out from his corner of the room. The presenter began to point as she described the area. There is no central city, making the area especially vulnerable to cavalry raids. Luckily, there's not much water, so neither horse nor lizard steeds can be easily supported. In our estimate, the area is threatened by less than 1,000 Iterian warriors. Most of those are probably just pokes and bogeys, with some veteran forces to back them up. Our intent is for a mobile force to move in, coming to the rescue of the Campbell sea farmers. Irving will lead the mission, his command crew overseeing a wing of Hippogriff cavalry. 3 smaller pocket space teams will assist. The mission does not have a specific runtime. It could just take a few weeks, or it could be months to secure the coast. This is vital. We have to have that food. Each commander will be responsible for assembling a team of peers. It has to be one their pocket spacer can manage. I hope to see some competition for the spots, so put together sound proposals. We'll hear initial mobilization plans as early as tomorrow, with time for revisions if approved. Not long after the meeting, it was time for his supply run, which thankfully consisted mostly of warriors and arrows. He accepted their thanks and declined offerings of silver. Wasn't up to me who traveled, and not my fault either. In a week you'll wish you were back in Opal. He got back to Stormbound and found most of the group in Liz's room. He settled in next to Kira on a bench against the wall and took his turn on a bottle as it was passed around. Why do dwarves bother to drink? Karen asked. Why wouldn't he? Kira wanted to know. The human shrugged. Can't get drunk. I can get drunk. That's just when we get older. I hope it's still going to be tasty, though, if not intoxicating. Karen grimaced as she took another drink. I wouldn't say it's tasty. That's okay. Dresden, when are you leaving Vool? Dresden was surprised by Kira's question. It was quiet enough he didn't think most people had heard. I guess in the spring. She looked relieved. That's a ways off. You know, I can't come with you. Sure you can. We'll talk about it later tonight. Why couldn't you? I just can't. Later. Cormac's not coming. Donald got into the room. You couldn't find him? Oh, I found him. Him and this woman he's with. They said, if the boss was the best we could do, then we could go suck ducks. Liz barked a laugh. He actually said suck a duck? Pretty close, Donald admitted. Well, if he's not, he's not, Dresden said reflexively, but his mind was on something else. Why couldn't she come? Do we have a plan? We need this. Donald, you'll talk to the recruiter. People like you for some reason. Liz was eager. We're a good candidate, Karen said. We have 2 priests and 2 strong fighters. We have 4 strong fighters, Dresden snapped out of it. Karen, you do very well, and so does Kira. Well, yeah, that's who I was talking about, she smiled. Okay, not really. Thank you, Dresden. We should work up a list of things we'll need. Luckily, it'll be short, Orrin was certain. It'll show we're really thinking about it, but it'll also show we won't be a big investment. They worked deep into the night, planning a proposal to get them out of Brave Rock, out of the routine, and hopefully into a fight. Do you think they'll win their bid to join? Will we get to visit the coast and fight some pokes? What exactly is a poke? It sounds dirty. A lot of fantasy, especially RPG fantasy, relies on fighting interesting monsters. Not so much in Dresden's tale. There were some sand mummies early on, and don't forget the Blue Mountain Wyverns. Ribnasher and his Shadowkin definitely qualified. There were the Doddering Flamers before that. Other than that, it's pretty well been Velito and Mongrel Men. And even then, not that often. Is that normal for Dresden's tale? I'd say so. Look, every season's going to be a little bit different, but what you see is mostly what you get. Life's like that. You go for a while without anything interesting going on, and then all of a sudden your militia's called up to go out and fight some giant ants. Happens to all of us. I said it happens to all of us. Thought so. All right, fellow adventurers, time to put away the armor. Sorry we didn't get to kill anything today. Hammer that like button. Take out your aggression in the comments. I've said it before. Tell me who your favorite characters are, and you might just change the stars. While you are thinking about it, I'll be signing off. You are all wonderful people, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See you next time. Cheers.